And happy Thanksgiving to one and all. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I am your host. I am your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, iHeartRadio, Simul Radio, and Simul TV. If you would like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV. And to find out about the programming we have available for you 24/7, 365 on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit www.xzbn.net. And for the programming we have on the X Zone TV channel, which is channel number 21 on Simul TV, www.simultv.com. Before we get to my first guest tonight, X Zone Nation, I would just like to let you know that there's a new program that has been added to our programming schedule. Starting today, Mac Maloney's Military X-Files has joined the X Zone Broadcast Network family, and we're happy to have Mac and his crew along with us. If you'd like to find out more about Mac, his crew, listen to some of the past shows that we've pre-produced, all you need to do is go to www.xzbn.net. Now, my guest this hour, Robin Strom-Mackey, has been researching and investigating the paranormal for the better part of a decade. During that time, she has written extensively about ghosts for her blog, The Shore, at DelawareParanormal.org. No, I'm sorry, that was her website. Her blog is DelawareParanormal.blogspot.com. She is the founder and director of Delaware Paranormal Research Group, as well as being a medical professional, mother and wife. Formerly, she was a teacher of English, communications, and broadcasting, and a television journalist for the U.S. Navy. Aside from video, she is also an enthusiastic amateur photographer. Now, she loves anything to do with water, jogging, hiking, biking, drinking Bloody Marys. Hey, girl after my own heart. And getting caught in the rain. She lives in Delaware with her husband, son, Uther the dog, Miss Scarlet the cat, and a sugar glider named Hiccup. Joining me now is Robin Strom-Mackey. And first of all, Robin, thank you very much for your service.
Oh, thank you.
My goodness. Bloody Marys. Well, can I substitute the Bloody Marys with Pina coladas?
No, they're too sweet.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll stick with you with Bloody Marys for this hour.
Okay.
All right. Tell me, how did you get interested in the paranormal? Where does this deep interest lie?
Yeah, I get asked that all the time. I was always interested in the paranormal from a child on. I used to swap ghost stories with my best friend, Heidi. As children, we'd do sleepovers, and we'd tell ghost stories until we were so afraid to go to sleep that we would have to go into her parents' bedroom and sleep on the floor. I mean, it was just awful. And then as a teenager, it was always the movies, the haunted movies,
right.
The Fog and The Shining. Oh my God, The Shining, always. But for me, it was always just imaginary. I had never had a paranormal experience, and it was always just imaginary. I never really thought it was real. And then I was in my 30s, and my husband and I moved into our first home that we bought, and it was an old Victorian in Pennsylvania. I think every house in Pennsylvania is haunted.
I'm beginning to believe that.
Yeah, I am too. So, and the first night that we had moved into this old Victorian, it was built before the Civil War, about 1864, I think it was built. And we were moving in, cleaning up the house, wiping everything down and cleaning the carpets and, getting everything ready before the furniture moved in.
Sure.
We had a 2-year-old, and we had put him down. There was a first floor bedroom because it was a 5-bedroom house. It was just huge.
Wow.
And so we had bedded him down on the first floor in the first floor bedroom. And then we had worked late into the night, and about midnight we rolled out our own bedrolls and bedded down for the night, and we went to sleep. And of course we went straight to sleep because we were exhausted.
Sure.
And I think it was about 2 a.m. and something awoke me, a sound or someone calling me, or I don't know what it was, but I woke up and I opened my eyes, and there was a small child looking at me like it was kneeling over me. And I assumed it was very, very dark, and I assumed it was my 2-year-old. And the child got up and took off down the hallway towards the bedroom where I had put my son down. And, I was like, what did I just see? And so I started calling my son. I'm like, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Because anytime you don't hear from a 2-year-old, you can assume he's doing nothing good.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm calling him, and I'm not getting any response, and I'm not hearing anything from down the hallway. And so, I'm not thinking anything, out of the ordinary. So I get up and I go down the hallway to the bedroom where I had put him down for the night. And I walk into the bedroom, and he's sound asleep in his sleeping bag where I had put him. Yeah, that was my very first experience with paranormal. And, I just stood there and I said, to myself, I'm like, did I actually see that? Was that real?
At which time you went to the kitchen, got the Mott's Clamato, got the Smirnoff vodka, and a little bit of celery room.
Exactly.
And sat down and had to contemplate what the hell just happened. Stuff. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I think I just went back to bed and didn't think much of it. But then later, when we had moved in, and I was sleeping in my bedroom one morning. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning. And my son was always an early riser when he was younger, especially. And it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, and outside my bedroom, there was a large area. And this was on the second floor. And I heard playing. I heard a child playing.
Right.
Moving things around and giggling, and I don't know all what. But it was 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was not about to get up at that point. And so I said, to my son, I'm like, hello, you need to go back to bed because I'm tired, and I don't intend to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and watch you. And I didn't hear much after that, and so I got up and went out to the hallway.
Right. And
he wasn't there. And I'm like, what did I just hear? So I went into his bedroom, and of course, again, he's sound asleep. So it couldn't possibly have been him. So, and then much later, actually, my mother reported something very similar, and she never told me at the time, which really irritated me. But she said that we had two stairways in the house. It was an old Victorian, and we had the formal front staircase and then the back staircase, which the servants would have used. And she said that she heard a child playing on the back staircase, and she was worried about my son, because he was very young at the time, being on the back staircase and, possibly falling down it. And so she called out to him, and she didn't get an answer, and so she went to the back staircase, and, of course, there was no one there. So...
Wow. Listen, Robin, you and I have to take our first break. Please stand by.
Okay.
When a child is quiet, they're up to something. They really are.
That's for sure.
Right. Us parents know what we're talking about, especially when it
We
comes
do.
to young tots. Robin Strom-Mackey is our very special guest this hour, X-Zone Nation. And her website is DelawareParanormal.org. And Robin and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. I'm Rob McConnell. Don't go away. And once again, to all our listeners who are celebrating Thanksgiving this date and this weekend, to each and every one of you, happy Thanksgiving, and thank you for spending time and sharing your time with us here in the X-Zone. My guest this hour is Robin Strom-Mackey. Her website is DelawareParanormal.org, and she also has a blog at DelawareParanormal.blogspot.com. What did you say to your mom after she told you about this child that she heard playing in the back stairs?
Well, I actually asked her why she hadn't told me at the time
Yeah.
that she had this. I think at that point when she told me, we had actually moved out of the house, and so we had all these experiences, and she hadn't told me. So I was a little annoyed, I think, that she hadn't come forth with the information. But that's kind of my mother. She just kind of blows these things off and then has these revelations after the fact. So.
Yeah. My mom was the same way. She'd say, "Oh, do you think I should have told you?" "Oh, yeah."
Yeah. It would have been
Oh,
nice.
my God.
Exactly.
So whatever happened to that little child? Did you ever find out who it was? Or whose spirit it was?
No, it seemed to be a small child. I always assumed it was a small male child. We had other experiences, nothing as stark as seeing the child or, hearing the child outside the bedroom. But
Right.
My son's toys, he had, a bunch of electronic toys like small children do. And they would often go off when he was not in the room. There was one car in particular, one racing car toy that he had that his grandparents, oddly enough, had given him, and it would just rev up for no reason whatsoever and just go off. And I would have to go up to the room and turn it off or take the batteries out. At the time, I wasn't really into the paranormal, and I didn't connect the two. I just assumed that the batteries were wearing out or something was wrong with the toys. So I'd go up to the bedroom and take the batteries out, or replace the batteries, or turn the toy off, and not really think anything of it. So.
But let me ask you this. When you did get interested in the paranormal and you started adding one and one, car goes on by itself, I go up there, there's nobody there, must be the batteries. How did that change your chain of thought once you started understanding all about the paranormal?
Yeah, unfortunately, we had long since sold the house and moved out. And,
yeah, I understand. I understand that, but what did you kind of say? Oh gosh.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It was the house itself was long since sold, and the experience is long since passed. And and once I started, as you say, putting 1 + 1 together.
Yeah.
I started to think, oh, I wish I had paid more attention and, possibly done a little bit of research on my
Sure.
own. I had met a ghost hunting, not group, but an individual that was with a group at the time.
Mm-hmm.
We did I actually did a documentary with my my broadcasting students about the historic library that was on the campus where I was teaching, and we did an interview with the gentleman that had come in and done paranormal research investigation of the old library. Excuse me. And I told him a little bit about my house. I said, I woke up and I saw a small child, and, I've had a couple of experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't seem all that interested, and I didn't think I had enough activity going on to actually call in a group to do an investigation. But after I moved out of the house, I kind of wish I'd pursued it more. I think I possibly could have had some good interactions, but
So when did you actually start doing paranormal investigations? What was it that you went from a mom who just thought there was something strange happening with the cars and the child out of the bedroom, the child that was up at 5 o'clock in the morning, to where you actually, yeah. But what happened to make you start taking this very serious?
Well, as I say, I have always had an interest in the paranormal, as a child on.
Right.
It was an epiphany, actually. It was the first year that Ghost Hunters was on the air, and I just tuned into the Sci-Fi Channel one night, and I caught my first episode of Ghost Hunters, and I'm like, here are a couple of guys that are plumbers for a living, and they do ghost hunting. And it was, as I say, it was an epiphany. I'm like, oh my God, a person like me could actually do this. And it just bit me. And it bit me hard. And I could never give it up. I started looking up ghost hunting groups in my area, and I found one. And I filled out the application, and then I went to hit send, and I couldn't quite hit send because I was teaching, and I had a small child at the time, and I had a house, and
right.
I had all these responsibilities, and so I didn't hit the send button. And then a couple nights later, I filled out the application all over again, and then I went to hit send. And I said, I can't do this. I've got too many things going on, and I can't do this. And so I waited a couple more days, and I filled out the application. I think I filled that thing out like 4 or 5 times.
Oh, so you didn't just take a snapshot of it and put it aside so that you could. Oh, okay.
No. I went through the whole the whole rigmarole over and over and over again, and finally I hit send, and then I waited. And I didn't hear back. And I waited about a week, and I didn't hear back. And so I think I filled out the application again, and I hit send again, and I didn't hear back. And then I emailed the guy, and I didn't hear back. And then I emailed him again, and I said, hey, I'll do a paranormal podcast for you and promote your group, and I'll do, I just started offering all these because I had the broadcasting and the podcast experience and all this experience. I said, I'll do anything you want to promote your group, but I need in, And then I think I emailed him again and again, and finally he emailed me back, and he's like, okay, enough is enough.
See, persistence pays off. Persistence pays off.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's like, let's meet. And he was about 25 years old, and I think I was 40 at the time when I met him, and he was like, he's thinking, I'm sure, that, here's this old lady, and she wants into my group, and and if I don't let her in, she's gonna, explode. So he let me in, and I was every bit as enthusiastic as I had let on, and he eventually left. He left the group and,
Oh, no.
and left us someone else, and it kind of imploded, and that's fine, But I had about a year of experience at that point, and I'm like, this is enough, and I can go out on my own right now and start doing my own thing.
Sure.
So I went out and I started blogging and researching. I've always been, I have a background in English and scholarly study, and so I started doing my own thing. And I went out and I started reading and researching and writing articles and just getting my feet wet into the theories behind the paranormal and writing about it. And, it just kind of went on from there. Eventually, I started my own group and started investigating, started bringing on investigators. And it just is kind of bloomed from there. In 2017, I wrote my first book. I decided that enough was enough with the with the blogging, and it was time to put my research and my experience into a book. And so I did that. I wrote Anatomy of a Ghost in 2017.
All right,
and
before we get into the books, we have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour.
Okay.
So stand by,
Okay.
Robin. Exonation,
All
Robin
right.
Strom-Mackey is our very special guest this hour. And if you'd like to find out more about Robin, her group, that is the Delaware Paranormal Research Group, their website is delawareparanormal.org. And Robin and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. The current edition of the X Chronicles newspaper for the month of November is available at www.xchroniclesnewspaper.com, and of course, it's with our compliments. The X Zone, Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Welcome back, one and all. Our guest this hour is Robin Strom. I'm Strom-Mackey, and her website is delawareparanormal.org. Robin, before we went to the news break at the bottom of the hour, you just started to talk about the books you've written. Now, your first book is entitled Anatomy of a Ghost. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Absolutely. It's basically the amalgamation, if you will, of 10 years of my research into the paranormal. It's about everything doing with ghosts and ghostly phenomena. It covers a wide variety of topics, including ghosts, of course, and all the theories about what ghosts are and residuals and intelligent haunts. But it also covers out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, after-death experiences, man-made ghosts, because it turns out you can make your own ghosts, angels and demons, and, of course, it includes a lot of first-hand accounts of people that have witnessed ghosts, including myself and other people that I've interviewed. So it covers a wide variety of things to do with basically everything ghosts.
All right, based on your experience and the people that you've talked to, as well as the investigations that you've gone on, what or how would you describe what a ghost is?
Well, as I say, there
Mhm.
there are a lot of there are a variety of theories about what ghosts are.
Yeah, well, what's yours? Because you're the author and you're the one who's out there doing the investigating.
Yeah, good question. Well, I would say one of the theories is that a
Mhm.
lot of ghostly phenomena is residual. In other words, it's pre-recorded into the environment and it just replays at certain times when conditions are correct for that. And in my experience, actually, I haven't found that to be true.
No.
I have found that a lot of paranormal experiences seem to be intelligent, and at least in part. They will parrot back what you ask them to, or what you say. If you say, for example, I love pizza, you'll
Mhm.
get a EVP saying, I love pizza. It won't be exactly intelligent, but it will seem to respond to what you say. And then I've had some paranormal experiences where it's extremely intelligent, where it seems to have its own agenda, and it will respond in ways that you never anticipated that it would respond. So, I would have to say that despite theories to the fact that it's not intelligent, I have found that it tends to be intelligent, at least fairly intelligent, to the point that it's actually very intelligent, to the point where it seems to have its own existence, and it's not an existence that is parallel to yours. It's existing on its own and doing its own thing, and it's not dependent on you whatsoever. So
So
I don't know if that's,
how do we explain the existence of a ghost? For example, somebody dies. Is this part of the death process where they can either go to wherever it is we go and we're dead, or they can remain for one reason or another? And why do they decide to stick around?
well, yeah. Does this answer for after death? Yeah, there are theories that there are different planes of existence,
Mm-hmm.
and that we might die and leave, for example, a lower stage of our personality behind. For example, the Egyptians talked about different planes of existence, and the lower plane was called the Ka, and the Ka would remain with the body, and they would build the pyramids, and they would put a likeness of the dead person in the area where the coffin was,
Okay.
and the Ka was supposed to remain in that area, and you had to feed the Ka with offerings of food and water, or wine and bread. And if you didn't feed the Ka, then the Ka would leave the pyramid, or the place where the body was interred, and it would go out and it would basically haunt. Magical magicians have a similar theory. They call it the etheric plane of existence.
Mm-hmm.
So a lower plane of existence. Not our higher beings, not the soul that would go to heaven and be connected with the great, connector, but a lower plane of existence that would remain around the body, and it would usually would disintegrate quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and when it didn't, there was, like the Ka, there was definite problems. There's some theories that this is where vampires come from. It's when bodies were buried quickly, and the etheric body would not disintegrate quickly enough, and it would go out like the Ka and search out different food. The Ka, for example, would go out, and if it wasn't fed, it would eat poop and drink out of nasty puddles, and it would just eat icky things. And so the etheric body would go out and search out basically human beings to eat, not eat in the in the manner of eating,
Sure.
but in the matter of sucking the energy out of the living, and therefore that's where our vampiric traditions come from.
Okay, I understand these are all theories, but let's get to the crux of the matter. Now, you're a former educator, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the scientific explanation, if any, for the paranormal?
Well, I think the scientific explanation is probably rooted in the developments of quantum theory, which I'm studying very carefully, because quantum theory is developing and coming up with a lot of theories that, to be quite honest, support a lot of the ideas and theories that we've had in the paranormal for a long time. For example,
right, but once again, these are all theories. The paranormal has been investigated for, well, let's say, at least 200 years. And yet, nothing. Here we are in the year of 2018, highly technologically advanced society. And we're no further ahead now when it comes to investigating the paranormal or getting a better understanding of it than we were 200 years ago. How come? I find this a little perplexing.
Well, I think, honestly, we're closer now than we have been in a long time. I think, for one thing, we have been in this scientific age for a long time,
yes,
where we have dismissed Christianity and everything to do with the spiritual. And I think, this is just my own personal theory, but I think that the normal person needs the spiritual. They need to experience and interact with the spiritual. They don't just want, it doesn't feed the soul to just be enmeshed in the scientific. We don't just want to hear about, the electron and the proton and
why not?
the neutron, because it doesn't feed our souls.
Well, let me ask you this question, then we have to go to our break, and this will give you a couple of minutes to think about it. Is it possible that the paranormal is replacing religion? Think about that. We'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Robin Strom-Mackey is our special guest, and her website is delawareparanormal.org. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. I'll be back on the other side of this break as we wrap up this hour in the X Zone. Whatever you do, don't go away. And welcome back, everyone. Our guest this hour is Robin Strom-Mackey. She is with the Delaware Paranormal Research Group, and her website is www.delawareparanormal.org. Now, before I went to the break, our last break, Robin, I asked you, is it possible that the paranormal is replacing organized religion or the religious philosophies of people? What do you think about that possibility?
I think that was the point that I was trying to make, and you said it more aptly than I did.
Oh.
Actually, I truly believe that, the stark realities of scientific research doesn't feed people's needs. And so they're searching out different philosophies and different ideas, maybe magical ideation. The paranormal has a possibility because the starkness of scientific research doesn't feed their spiritual needs.
But
so
what is more important, reality or spiritual needs?
Well, we're assuming that the scientific community is reality. And I'm not sure that the scientific community and scientific research is the entirety of reality, because there's a whole lot of things that go on in the world that cannot be explained by scientific research. And as I was indicating, the whole quantum physics research, they're getting into things that would have been considered craziness, 10 years ago, talking about different dimensions and string theory. And,
but I understand where you're going with this, but once again, it's all theory. It's not been proven to be real. So how can we take anything that is part of the quantum theory in any aspect and really look at it seriously? Could this not be just another idea that has no merit?
Well, actually, they have proven some very interesting things, like the boson-Higgs photons. So I'm not a quantum physicist. I'm an English teacher.
Sure.
So, but
they haven't proven that there are multiple dimensions. They haven't proven that there are parallel universes. These are all theories, and it's within these theories that the paranormal lives.
True.
So I'm just trying to wonder how we give justification to all the attention that the paranormal is getting today from society.
Well, yeah, and I agree. It's not just quantum physics. It's a need in our society for something besides the stark reality of scientific research.
Does that mean people within the paranormal community cannot face reality, and they're seeking something else that will give them the thrill ride experience?
Well, I won't say that, because I went into paranormal research to find the truth.
And what have you found?
We go into an investigation, and we try to find realistic explanations for things. And if we can find a realistic explanation for something, then we throw out the evidence.
Gotcha.
I personally went into paranormal research because I wanted to know what the answer was. I didn't want to take Christianity and spirituality at face value. I wanted to find evidence to support it. I mean, I couldn't accept certain theories like Noah put all the animals into a big boat and sailed it off or Adam and Eve were the first two people, and from them all people, originated. Just those types of stories just seem too simplistic for me, and I wanted answers that would explain those theories. They're stories, possibly stories built on some sort of reality, but they're just still children's stories. And so I went into paranormal research to try to figure out the reality behind these types of things. So I didn't go into it to just accept these things out of hand. I went into it because I wanted to, from a personal standpoint, figure out what was going on behind the scenes.
So after getting into the paranormal, after getting into paranormal research, what findings have you come up with?
Well, they're sadly they're always ambiguous. But I have had a few investigations that have been honestly truly remarkable. I've gotten some EVPs that were just absolutely mind-blowing, where there's whole conversations going on in the background, and the personalities are obviously intelligent, and they have an intelligence beyond my own, and just they seem to have an existence that is different from mine or ours, and I mean, that kind of thing is mind-blowing. When you realize that there is something there that you can't see and necessarily hear, but is living, if you will, and interacting with its environment, and can see and it can hear you, and it can interact with its environment. It can come, it can go, it can manipulate the environment. It's incredible. So.
And how do you prove that? How do we unequivocally prove that this has got something to do with the paranormal and nothing to do with what we as humans have not discovered that we ourselves are manipulating?
You are a devil's advocate, aren't you?
I'm a broadcaster and I'm a journalist.
Yeah, God bless. See, this is why I went into the paranormal. And as I say, it's very often ambiguous, and it's frustratingly ambiguous. But I have had, some evidence, such as EVPs. For example, we did an investigation at a house in, I'll just call it Rehoboth Beach, where we got two EVPs that were honestly, truly, probably the best EVPs that I have gotten in my entire 10 years of paranormal research. And it was an entire, basically they were an entire conversation in and of themselves. And the spirit, it seemed to be a female spirit. It seemed to be having a whole conversation in and of herself, and I couldn't explain it at the time. The first one said it started with indecipherable whispering, and then she said, "in the eye before," and I've never been able to figure out what that meant. And then she said, "I can't go out again. It's been 3 months." And then later in the evening, I got another EVP, almost exactly the same. It started again with indecipherable whispering, and then "in the eye before." And then, "I can't go out again. It's been 3 months." And then she said, "in Delaware." Just remarkable because it was in Delaware, for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
They were almost exactly the same, but just that one slight turn of phrase in Delaware. So she knew where she was. She knew, for example, that she'd been there for 3 months. You know, it was just remarkable.
You know what?
And
I hate to do this, but our time is up for tonight. Robin, I want to thank you so much for joining us, and I wish you continued success. And Exonation, if you'd like to find out more about our guest this hour, Robin Strom-Mackey, or if you'd like to visit the website for the Delaware Paranormal Research Group, it is www.delawareparanormal.org. That's www.delawareparanormal.org. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. For all the programming we have available for you 24/7, 365 on the X Zone Broadcast Network, including Mac Maloney's Military X-Files, visit www.xzbn.net. I'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.